try and imagine a close family member of yours lying on the hospital bed, machines beeping and ticking to keep him or her alive artificially. Faced with a terminal disease, this family member is in pain every second of every day they spend alive. Death is imminent as the cost to keep them on life support cripples their family. This family member then turns to you and asks for sweet release and asks you to look at things through a sympathetic and merciful eye versus looking at things through a legal standpoint. They ask you to help them perform euthanasia to escape a life of everyday pain and the inability to move or leave the hospital bed. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines euthanasia as follows: the act or practice of killing or permitting the death of hopelessly sick or injured individuals in a relatively pointless way for reasons of mercy. Euthanasia is an act of pure selflessness and compassion that allows for those who face into constant and unending pain to leave this world naturally and to stop the life support machines from prolonging a miserable and hopeless existence. There are a few things to consider while listening to my argument. The most significant is that I am only considering euthanasia as a practice for those who are terminally ill and are diagnosed with medical conditions that cause pain and sorrow for the victim and for those in which the victim makes the decision, not the doctor or family. While this topic might be hard to discuss or reach a morally correct standpoint, it is something that needs to be addressed, seeing as almost all of us will know someone terminally ill or on their deathbed at some point in our lives. It is a sad fact, but it is the truth, and as a result, we need to treat this issue with the utmost respect and importance. The first point I would like to make is our fundamental right as human beings. While we have laws and legislation governing what we do, the concept of free will still reigns strong in each and every one of us. This free will comes along with our choice to live and die. While I am not condoning suicide, I am saying that no one can make a life or death decision for someone else. It is ultimately their choice as a free person. It is amazing to me that we look at the topic of abortion and give humans the right to choose life or death for a growing child. The life support machines are prolonging people's existence past that of a natural point. The machines do a lot of good, but at the end of the day, if someone chooses to leave the world naturally, it should be their conscious decision. They should not be forced to extend a miserable and painful existence stranded in a room hooked up to machines. The second point I'd like to bring up is the concept from a fairness perspective. We have hospitals all around the country overflowing with patients hooked up to life support. And while some of these patients have a strong chance of recovery, there is a large percentage of which that do not. These patients should be given the opportunity to die naturally and make room for patients who have a chance and want to be cured. Next, the cost of keeping a patient on life support is overwhelming to the family and that federal government. According to CBS, in 2009, Medicare paid over $50 billion in hospital and doctor bills for the last 2 months of patients' lives. It was also estimated that in 30% of these cases, the procedures had no influence on the health of the individual. Seeing that these costs are so high, most families don't have the financial capability to pick up that kind of hospital bill, and as a result, the federal government ends up footing the bill. This bill outweighs the entire budget of the Department of Homeland Security. If these individuals don't have a desire to live, the money should go to more productive things, such as finding cures for these terrible diseases, instead of perpetuating a miserable and painful life. Last, I want to speak about the effects such a process has on the families and loved ones of those on life support. Unfortunately, there's also an opportunity cost associated with this issue. People drop jobs and educational opportunities because they are spending all their time watching a loved one wither slowly away. These people lose homes and valuables trying to cope with the extreme cost of keeping a loved one alive. Their last memories of this loved one are of a barely functioning vegetable hooked up to 40 machines, ultimately the right circumstances in which assisted suicide is not only a morally justifiable solution, but also a compassionate gesture. If we implement euthanasia as a medical practice, we will see billions of tax dollars going to better, more effective programs. So when someone tries to silence this debate because of religious or moral reasons, make your opinion heard. Educate your friends and family. It's up to you to help people fully understand the importance of this issue.